play here.
Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. I hope everything's good with you, and I hope everything is good with yours. The topic of today, before we get into anything else, is why I never follow anybody on social media. If you look at my Twitter, my Facebook, or my Instagram account, I actually have followers. Not a great deal. At one time, I had like 10,000 Instagram followers. It was ridiculous. But I follow nobody. Celebrities, regular people, quote unquote, if you will. I think it's unnecessary. I might be interested in what you have to say or viewing something that you have on your social media account today, but that doesn't mean into perpetuity am I going to be interested. So why bother with the back and forth of unfriending, friending? I think it's bogus. So I just stick to the idea that I don't need all these alerts coming to me all the time from people I personally do not know, or even people that I do know via Facebook, because what happens is you get into the minutia of their lives, things that you don't want to know about. I don't care what you ate last night. I just care that you had the ability to eat. Not particularly what you wore yesterday. I just care that you have clothes. I don't need to see the particular car that you drive. I just need to know that you can have transportation available to you. So I am not nosy in that manner. I don't care. I don't need to see every little thing about everybody, who you date, who you broke up with, every random thought that goes through your head. Now, if it's like I said, if it's something interesting, because I am not anti-social media, I use social media to promote my podcast. That is what it's primarily there for me. That's just me. I can't speak for anybody else. Now, you do what you do, and I do what I do, but this is the reason that you'll never get me to follow you back. I mean, I'll subscribe to a YouTube channel. I'll subscribe to a podcast. These are things that I might want to continue listening to because you did something to turn my ear on. You did something to click something in my brain, my mind, my body, or my soul. And so I'm going to always have interest in you. And we'll find out later on how it plays into the social media, because sometimes people are busy with their thumbs and their fingers and they shouldn't be. They're busy speaking into those phone apps when they shouldn't. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I like to keep it brief and let's move on. Former World Series champion, three-time champion, batting champion, ex-Brooklyn Dodger, Los Angeles Dodger, who actually I found out went to the same high school in Brooklyn that I went to, boys and, well, at his time it was just boys high, but I went to boys and girls high school. Tommy Davis died at the age of 83. Valari and Wild One singer Bobby Rydell, he was a teen idol back in the days. He died at the age of 79. Nehemiah Pressoff, who starred in Yentl, died at the age of 102. This dude appeared in over 200 films, movies, and plays during his 50-year career. Rayfield Wright, a pro football Hall of Famer who played for my Dallas Cowboys and played on 5 Super Bowl teams. They didn't all win, but he played on 5 Super Bowl teams in 13 seasons. The big cat passed away at the age of 76. Catherine Hayes, who was on As the World Turns and Star Trek, she died at the age of 87. She also was Glenn Ford's ex-wife. NFL quarterback Dwayne Haskins tragically died this weekend at the age of 24 years old. This dude didn't even really get a chance, but in 24 years, he was the 13th pick in the draft. He made it to the NFL where a lot of people can't. He had one of the greatest football seasons ever in the history of college football. That's quite his accomplishment. He didn't have to ask anybody for money when he passed away. Unfortunately, he died in South Florida when he was hit by a car. Now, this is where we get back to social media. On social media and in print and media, Gil Brandt, Adam Spears, Adam Schefter, Marcus Spears, and Ryan Clark all spoke out of order. Brandt was disgusting. Some of the comments he said, I will not repeat. They were just absolutely disgusting. Adam Schefter treated Dwayne Haskett as though he was less than a human, that he was a prize pig or prize cow at a rodeo or some sort, by stating his downfalls. This was a 24-year-old man who was beloved by many people. He had family, he had friends, he had a wife, he had classmates, he had teammates, and he chose to add into his article the man's downfalls, even though none of them were criminal. He is not who he's supposed to be at this point in his career, but that was neither here nor there to say, as you mentioned, somebody passing away. Marcus Spears went overboard by apologizing for Adam Schefter. It wasn't his place to do it. Adam Schefter is a writer. He can put words into sentences for himself. He could have defended himself if he chose to. Marcus Spears kowtowing to Adam Schefter made no sense. Ryan Clark saying that he was apologized to as though he is a member of Dwayne Haskins' family makes absolutely no sense. Black people are not monolithic. White people are not monolithic. Hispanics, Asians, short people, fat people, tall people, gay people. No group of people are monolithic. We do not all think the same. We do not walk in lockstep. And so every time something happens, you do not need to apologize to the closest black person to you. What about apologizing directly to the people you offended? Not just some random black guy. And in this case, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will come back and say it at a later time, Ryan Clark is a random black man. And for him to say that this man apologized, I accept his apology. Does he speak for the Haskins family? I mean, they're still grieving. I'm sure they're grieving. They're not even worried about what Schefter's saying. You know what I mean? So COVID-19 is up to 82 million cases and almost 1 million people have died. We're up to 559 million people vaccinated. 472 million people have had COVID worldwide, and 6.2 million people have died. This week, the Senate voted with the vote of 53 to 47 to confirm Ketanji Brown Jackson as the first female Supreme Court justice. And that also means not only is she the first female black Supreme Court justice, the males will not have a majority in the Supreme Court for the first time in United States history. Puerto Rico has had a blackout that went for like 3.5 days, but thankfully the power was restored to 1.3 million people in Puerto Rico. I mean, it's a hot place. They need the AC. They need the refrigerators. They've been having problems since Sandy. I hope somebody goes over there, some engineers who believe in doing some good work, doing some God's work, will go over there and help them with their infrastructure. They need to get this thing out of an archaic state and into modern times so that they do not have to suffer through things like this. DeAndre Martin, 26, Smiley Martin, 26, and Davion Dawson, 31, were connected in that mass shooting in Sacramento that left 6 people dead and 12 more injured. We have massive shootings in the streets as though this is 1931 Chicago, Elliot Ness versus Bugs Moran. I mean, something's got to happen with this. These young men have now thrown their lives away due to supposedly some gang affiliation bullshit. I just wish the best for the families that lost people and the people that are trying to recover from going out for a night on the town and ending up in the middle of somebody else's beef. Life is never fair, and we can't even think about it being fair. And that's why you got to appreciate each and every moment that you have, because you never know. It don't have to be your grief that kills you. It could be grief between 2 total strangers, and you just get caught in the crossfire like that poor lady up in the Bronx. So Kid Creole, real name is Nathaniel, or his government name is Nathaniel Glover, was found guilty of the stabbing of that homeless man in New York he thought was gay. He's a member of Grandmaster Flash in the Furious Five. Damn, what am I talking about? He faces 25 years in life. This dude's like 60. The rest of his life is pretty much shot. I mean, I don't know what was going on in his mind. He should have remembered the song "The Message." I mean, one of the all-time great messages ever sent to people. He should have had that in his heart. He should have had that in his soul. So Will Smith, who this is it, people. No more with the Will Smith bullshit. Let's let this die. He didn't kill 5 or 6 little children. He didn't kick a baby. He didn't do any of that. He smacked a grown man who could have retaliated if he chose to. Is that assault? Yes. You walk up to somebody and you just pop them in the face. That's not legal. It's not what you do, but it was done. And we're making this into too big a deal. He has been banned from attending the Oscars to 2032. But here's the crazy part. He could still be nominated. He could still win an Oscar. He just can't appear to receive the Oscar. He can't. I mean, what's the big deal? How does he lose? It's not like his career is over. It's ridiculous. So former WWE star Tammy Fitz, she's 49 now. Y'all remember her. She used to be Sunny. Well, she crashed her car and killed the 75-year-old man. Now, this is also allegedly. I am not the judge. I'm not on the jury. I will not be her executioner. I hope that Sunny takes this opportunity because it seems like there's been many opportunities that she turns her life around. You do not have to live this life under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And if you are under the influence of drugs and alcohol, Strange Talk with Doc has said this many, many, many times. Do not get behind the wheel of an automobile. Call a cab, call a friend, a Uber, or a Lyft. Do not put that 3,000-pound tank out there that's going to take the life of somebody who's not even bothering you. Now, in a disgusting display, and maybe his family co-signed this, I did not go deep into this because I thought it was just crazy. This Maryland rapper, DMV area rapper, Goonew, was at a club this weekend doing a straight up weekend at Bernie's. They had his dead, embalmed body propped up at a DC nightclub. Now, if this is the way that the family chose that they wanted to go out, because I hear people do this from time to time, I find this personally to be morbid. I find it to be something that's ridiculous. I don't need to be at a club. I don't need people gawking at me. I don't need this going viral. But if, like I said, if his people thought that this was a good move, I think that they blew it on this one. So I've been watching some TV. You know that I always watch some TV. Idiot Box, right? So we had the Equalizer. I didn't watch last night's episode, but last week's episode, McCall, which is Queen Latifah's character, she had to go and save Dante. He was abducted by a pair of cops. These deputies panicked because they tased him. They were going to get in trouble, and they made matters worse. Who did self experiments on herself? A young lady who wanted a surgery to treat her depression and chronic pain. It was kind of like she was a bit of a Britney Spears because she had a conservatory, which was her brother, who would not allow her to make any choices of his own. So that was a very good one. The Winning Time dealt with Jack McKinney's bike accident. I always wondered why Jack McKinney didn't continue coaching the Lakers. We found out he had a very bad bike accident. It also dealt with Kareem and Magic and their relationship or lack of relationship at the time. It also dealt with the creation of the Laker girls. Dr. Buss's mother probably going through some form of Alzheimer's. Spencer Haywood self-circumcising himself, which they come to find out is a true story. That is insane. Spencer Haywood gave himself a circumcision. That is fucking incredible. That I can't even find something like that. This Is Us dealt with Kate and Toby's marriage problems. I think they've reached a boiling point. So this is something else. It's a very good episode. Little Jack went on a walk by himself, and as you know, little Jack's a blind baby, and he took a walk. It also dealt with Rebecca's anniversaries to not only Miguel, but her anniversary also to Jack. I started watching the program, and you should probably give it a try. It's called WWE's Evil, EVIL. And the subject matters on it was Hulk Hogan, The Miz, Sasha Banks, the Brothers of Destruction, which is Kane and The Undertaker, Randy Orton, Stephanie McMahon, Ric Flair, and Roman Reigns. And they talked about their evil personas or their villainous personas, the heel personas. So it was very good. The Young Rock, which is very good because he gets into a little bit of dirt, it dealt with how irresponsible Big Rock was. Big Rocky Johnson was very irresponsible, man. And Rock is not like kind of hiding it. I mean, it's a comedy, but he's letting you know that some of these things that he did were not acceptable. The Blacklist dealt with Munchausen syndrome. Senator Panabaker's daughter-in-law was a victim of Munchausen, and wrestler is trying his best to stay clean. I also watched The Walking Dead. Lance and his stormtroopers dropped their banners at the entrance of Alexandria, Hilltop, and Oceanside. And we also got to say goodbye to Leah. Leah and Maggie got into it. Daryl was a hero in the situation, and it was great. This weekend on Saturday Night Live, we had Jake Gyllenhaal, who was very good, and this Camila Cabello. She also was very good. She did a song with Willow, who happens to be Jada and Will Smith's daughter. I thought that was fine. My wife thought her first song was a weak Hispanic or weak Latin version of a song, poppy, but I found it right up my alley. I guess I like pop Latin music, so it didn't bother me at all. So the Bills re-signed Stephon Diggs. They gave him 4 years and $96 million extension. Frank Gore finally retired after 16 years in the NFL. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer. Scotty Scheffler won the 2022 Masters. He was like in the lead the whole weekend. Rory McIlroy played fantastic Sunday, but it wasn't enough, so he came in second place. And the big news of the Masters was Tiger Woods returned and played. Not only did he make the cut, but he played all 4 rounds. But he stunk up the joint between Saturday and Sunday. I don't know if it was body failure, leg failure, muscle memory, not being out on the course. But for him to be at the Masters and shoot like 13 over par was ridiculous. But they overhyped Tiger with all this "I came to win." Everybody who suited up and grabbed their clubs and went out on that golf course had the same idea: get the green jacket, go down in history. And some guys were highly disappointing. Brooks was disappointing. Patrick Reed was disappointing. Jordan Speed was disappointing. Dustin Johnson. I mean, there were a lot of guys who I expected a lot better of who didn't perform. But maybe, just Tiger being out there messes people's heads up. Pressure bust pipes, right? The Major League Baseball season actually did start, people. So if you are a baseball fan, baseball is on. We had the UFC. And the UFC this weekend's headliner was Alexander Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. He took out the Korean Zombie pretty easy. Some people call it controversial. Aljamain Sterling for Petr Yan, and he actually won by split decision. Mackenzie Dern beat Tisha Torres, which I thought was all right. Irene Aldana versus Aspen Ladd. Oh, no, actually, Aspen Ladd fought Raquel Pennington. And I thought that neither one of them really went as hardcore as they should have. This was an all right card. This was not a great card. It just showed the dominance of Volkanovski. And it also showed that this kid that they've been hyping for the longest, this Russian kid who they think can take on Usman, he's just not ready yet. He fought Gilbert Burns. And I don't think that he's at the standard yet to take out a Usman. Usman will actually handle him pretty well. Now, I'm going to take off a couple of weeks, but there are a couple of things I'll say before I go. USA fight night is coming up, and you got Burke versus Bilal Muhammad. That's the Sinche Burke versus Bilal Muhammad. This is the second time they fought. Uriah Hall is going to be fighting Andre Muniz. And this is UFC next week. I want to congratulate also the University of Kansas for beating North Carolina in a championship game of the NCAAs. They won that game 72-69. So Kansas is the NCAA champ. And as you know, that super team called the Los Angeles Lakers were eliminated with days to go from even play-in game. And the play-in tournament is going to be this week. It's going to start on the 12th and it's going to go through the 15th. And here's your teams in the West. You got the Clippers, Timberwolves, Pelicans, and Spurs. In the East, you got the Cavaliers, the Nets, the Hawks, and the Hornets. These are the teams who are fighting for that seventh and eighth spot to get into the playoffs. I did finish off night 2 of WrestleMania, and I thought some things on there were very good. I was surprised to see Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was surprised to see Vince in there. Brock and Roman Reigns was a pretty good match. Johnny Knoxville was outstanding. I got nothing but tip my hat to him. Sami Zayn was great with Johnny Knoxville. Pat McAfee had a dream night for all wrestling fans. He got to wrestle a match, win a match, lose a match, have beers with Stone Cold, and then get stunned by Stone Cold. And if you're a wrestling fan, that's like going to Fantasy Island. You get to do all these things in one night, and you announce matches too. So Edge is now with Priest, Damian Priest. Sasha and Naomi won the female tag team championships. And I'm going to tell you, on May 9th, I will return. Everybody needs to recharge their batteries at some point or another. I'm taking this time right now to recharge my batteries, and I'm stepping away from the microphone for like 3 weeks. No matter what happens, I'm not going to come back with some big, huge recap, but I do have a show in mind. And when I come back, it's going to be quite simply, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Maybe it's the fact I do not speak the language called loser, and that's why you can't understand me. Once again, May 9th, you don't understand what I'm talking about? Maybe it's the fact I do not speak the language called loser, and that's why you cannot understand me. May 9th, people. If you get a chance, holler at me. You know I love hearing from you. Hit me with an email. And before I go, reevaluate who and what you follow on social media. Do you do it because you need numbers? Do you do it because you're truly interested in these people? Or you just like to be nosy? If you're fine with any of those things, then God bless you. But it's just not me. And everybody's not going to be that way. Everybody's not going to care about following people on social media. So there should be no condemnation towards people who choose not to do so. And I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, people, peace to you and peace to yours. And I'll see you again on May 9th.